Well, it's been a rough group for Lambo so far, but let's see if he can make magic happen here. At the bottom left from Splice Esports, this is TY!
And up here in the top right-hand side, in the blue, the Zerg player. Representing Clash, it's Lambo.
This German player has got such a lovely mindset when it comes to the game. He is very, very focused and very, very confident in himself. But it's tough to be confident against Maru, and it's tough to be confident against TY. Yeah. There is a very short list of people in the world, and I think all of them are here, that can beat these players.
Yeah, he's definitely going to come in here with a lot of, ability to stay calm under pressure. And Lambo, he traditionally does have that. He's a player who goes in confident. We saw him, blocking Maru's 2-racks play in their second game. In the first game, he was playing all right. So it was definitely something where those mid-game attacks were what toppled him. Twice in a row, he took big damage, or even game-ending damage, as we saw in his second game against Maru, to those mid-game kind of big marine attacks with the first couple of siege tanks. That's what Lambo's got to strengthen today. He's got to show a bit of a stronger play. Of course, a player gets knocked out every single series we cast today. The loser of this gets knocked out, winner faces Neeb. So it is a lot on the line right now.
Certainly is, and we see that as TY expands, he's sending one SCV along with the Reaper that's about to pop out. This is the intention here, is to try and slow down that third base from Lambo, as it is around about that time, third base o'clock, as we like to call it, for the Zerg. Yeah. So Lambo was just, it was interesting that the Observer was pointing out that he was rallying his drones in, just sort of like not immediately saturating his gas. Just slowing down that link speed ever so slightly.
He'd love to get that quick third base up, of course, but he has spotted that SCV, knows it's going to be over there blocking that hatchery location. And the Reaper, of course, just going to do a bit of light pressure as well. Behind this, it does look like the fast factory's coming down. TY going to be going into a Hellion opening. And that Reaper's going to come in, see if it can pick off a few Zerglings.
Yep, trying to pay the Reaper tax here. Zerg's been pretty good about avoiding that payment. Lambo, no different, getting some nice macro on these lings here.
Yeah. Those lings are getting a little bit low. The Queen's almost out, but there we go. The Queen finally comes out at the last second. All of those Zerglings deep in the red. Nice micro from both sides. And an early creep tumor to start that creep spread as quickly as possible. Now, those Zerglings going to sneak south along with that drone. The Queen intercepting the Reaper there, trying to delay it. And looks like that third base should be able to get down. The Reaper's going to try to get over here.
Ooh, drone left alone a little bit here. Queen still takes a while to waddle over when she doesn't have that creep carpet underneath her. And we're seeing the 1-1-1 round out here for TY. Factory getting onto that reactor for Hellion and a little bit of map control. And it looks like a tech lab on that barracks. Starport not right against the barracks. So we'll see if he gets stim immediately or if he goes for something a little bit different. Normally, if he's going to switch over the add-ons, they're a little bit closer just for time efficiency. It is like an extra second or so.
Yeah, gonna have to see what he does there. Of course, the real reason this is the most popular opening we see in this matchup is the amount of options you have off it. You can go for Hellions. We see a Viking coming out first. It's going to deny scouting. And, oh my.
The Marauder. All right.
Nice.
This is something a little bit different we're seeing out of TY here.
Yeah. It's a small map. I mean, I really like this. Normally, you'll see Hellbats with this, right? Maybe, I guess you get probably about 3 Marauders out by the time you hit with this. And you actually land the Viking with the pressure as well. And it's kind of like, the idea is normally Queens can kind of kite backwards. They can pull away from the Hellbats and slow down their advance. But if you've got Concussive Shell Marauders in there, that doesn't work at all.
And it's tough to read this as the Zerg as well. Everything looks like he's getting Stim and Marines at the moment with Hellions on the back end. Like he's just going for a regular buy or he's about to get a couple more barracks and just go into a regular game. And of course, he might do that. But this is actually a timing attack with Concussive Shell. The TY is trying to find a big window for damage.
Well, the Baneling Nest does go down reactively there for Lambo. So he is thinking about, hey, that's a fast Stim on the way. Of course, he doesn't know it's Concussive Shells necessarily. So he definitely might have this in his mind. And extra Queens and Ling Bane can deal with this. It's just all about getting those Banelings into the center of the Hellbats. If you can take out most of the Hellbats, the Lings clean up everything else easily. So Lambo, if he just keeps building Queens, gets some Banelings ready in time, he'll be good. But that's a lot of Hellions coming in. The Armory's about halfway done. There's a Liberator queuing up behind this. And it looks like there's going to be actually those 3 Marauders hidden inside the medevac coming across the map.
Yeah, TY's trying to be as surprising as possible here. With the Viking being landed, Lambo knows that he's getting aggressive here. Dive for that Queen. Quick transfusion there from Lambo, but here come the Marauders with Concussive Shell. The Queens are not escaping.
That was such a nice move there from TY. Jumps in, stops them from escaping, starts to focus down the Banelings. No opportunity here for Lambo to respond, and such a small map. The rush distance being so short, capitalized upon by TY. He dives on top. Every single unit still standing strong. He's lost next to nothing. The pieces, of course, being picked apart. The Queens, such an important piece of that, taken out before the fight even begins. And even though these units are slowly being taken down, Lambo, of course, trying to micro as well as he can. He's already taken game-ending damage, and he is forced to tap out.
And sometimes the game can just end, as StarCraft can be quite brutal sometimes. That timing attack from TY looked very, very one-sided, but it was a great deception from the Terran there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. If you get caught unawares like that, just like Lambo, who's clearly very upset with how that game went, frustrated with himself at the misread there. It's just so hard, though. You send that Overlord in and you see that barracks with the Tech Lab spinning in. You're very unlikely going to be thinking about Concussive Shell Marauders. You're going to be thinking about, oh, there's a Marine timing coming at me or something like that. Like, Marines are about to hit me sooner. I'm going to get a drop soon.
Exactly.
Need more Queens. I need a Baneling Nest because there's going to be a lot of Marines on the field. Unfortunately, there, just TY having a composition that was too tough for Lambo to beat and rolls right on through.
Yeah.
That one going for him.
Such a nasty build there. I remember when I first saw that one hit the meta, and I was like, whoa, this is such a fast, brutal attack that it does hit. But there we go, you know, kind of catches Lambo off guard, gets a free win there on Blue Shift. A very nice play from TY.
Certainly does. I believe in Lambo's ability to fight back here, so I'm hoping for another map. I mean, it'd be a miracle for him to win the series. It is only a best of 3, though, and I feel like in best of 3s, like, a lot of magic can happen. There's been, you know, it's not like we've got 3 or 4 maps to have, like, sort of as an extra life for each player. So yeah. I've seen surprising things happen. I mean, Neeb beating TY was extremely surprising, but it was an upset for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to be launching into map number 2. And of course, Lambo, he's looking for that more standard game, which he thrives in. He loves a mapped out regular game plan. He likes to get to the mid game. He likes to even get to that late game. He's going to have another shot here in map number 2.
And in the top left, hailing from Germany, representing Clash Esports, this is Lambo.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right-hand side, playing for Splice. He is TY.
That guy is an emote on my channel for a reason. The kid's a genius. Every time Dan is trying to make the world drink the Kool-Aid on TY being the smartest player in the entire world, I don't have a glass pig. I got the whole jug and I'm pouring that down my throat. I absolutely believe it. I love TY. He's my favorite Terran. He's fantastic, but he started off rough in Group A here. So he's had a, you know, he only has that 1 life remaining. Maru already going first in his group. No surprises there. But he's got these 2 non-Koreans to battle through to try and join his Korean brother there in the ranks to get into that round of 8.
Yeah, TY is a little bit like a surgeon. You know, Maru is this kind of aggressive, momentum-based player. He's got this real tactical flair to him. And TY, I mean, he's got good tactics. He can, you know, on the fly, do some great drops and multi-prong and that sort of thing. But really, the way he wins games is very clinical. It's very procedural. He kind of just goes through his steps. He has this very clever, mapped-out series of things. I mean, we saw in that last game, he had the Marauders rallied away from the Overlords. He hid them in the medevacs. He kind of hid in the tall grass. The Queens came down to chase the Viking off to kill an Overlord. They got baited down. Their Hellions wrapped around. Yeah. He like used Hellion force fields there. You know, everything just comes together so nicely for TY. And this is something he's planned out ahead of time. So he is a player who goes in with these very clever styles. He's definitely a metagame changer, one of the players who kind of pushed a lot of the pros into playing super late game because he was so dominant at playing those late game styles, and people realized they just couldn't finish him off in the mid game back in early 2017 when he was at the height of his career.
Certainly, but I would say that on the other side of the fence, Lambo at the height of his career at the moment as well. Fantastic 2018 for him. Couple semi-final appearance, couple top 8s. Kid is looking good. Can't wait to see what it looks like in 2019 and how far he can go in BlizzCon. I mean, it's definitely not over yet. Lings of Lambo doing the dance with the Reaper here as he gets that 3rd base a little bit easier this game.
Yeah, interesting to see TY actually opting to block the other 3rd base. So it looks like TY kind of wanted to set this up almost. He said, okay, you've got the 3rd base over there. But TY seems to, I guess, be probably happier pushing down that right-hand side where it's a little bit more choked up, less wide areas for Zerglings to flank in. Of course, Terran, they love choke points. They love ledges to set up their tanks, their Marines to spread across. Zergs, on the other hand, they just want more pathways, more big open areas, anything that allows those close-range Zerg units to swarm in from all sides.
And we see that Lambo's going for Overlord speed here, trying to be as careful as possible in this game. Of course, later on you can use that aggressively, but it just shows signs of a player that really doesn't want to be caught by anything sneaky this time. We've got a Marine patrolling here, but obviously if the Overlords have speed, that Marine isn't going to do jack to them.
Yep. The speed overlords, even Vikings, struggle to take them down very quickly. There is a Viking on the way, so he's going to deny the scouting. And I mean, that's what's so genius about TY's set of builds here. I don't even know what he's going for in game 2, but I know Lambo is going to have a bit of trouble scouting it. Now, if it wasn't for the overlord speed, he wouldn't be able to scout it at all. The Marine, then the Viking, TY would say, hey, I just did a really cheeky build to you. Guess what? I might be doing it again. I'm denying your scouting. Lambo, though, preempting this, his overlord speed comes in, and he sees once again an upgrade on that barracks, but it cancels and then restarts again. Interesting.
All right. Looks like he wanted to try and mind game Lambo a little bit there. He comes back in with the Overlord and sees it spinning again, though.
And then
cancels. So he's going to switch over onto the starport potentially.
And a third command center is going to go down. So this is going to be the most standard macro Terran vs Zerg build, but TY is doing a lot to try and put the fear in Lambo's head. He's playing these mind games.
Very mind gaming.
I'm not just going to let you get in your comfort zone. I've seen you play there. I know you're really powerful. TY is respecting Lambo a lot by trying to throw these little bits of trickery out and only then going into the standard mid-game plan. I love it from TY. He's now going to start up with the Hellions and the Reapers, the Viking roaming around hunting for Overlords, and he's going to set this up, of course, that Liberator now rallying across the map to meet up with this.
Ling sees it as well if he was paying attention here. And that's actually, you know what? This time I'll feel a lot better about Lambo's defense. He's got a lot of Queens here. He's got a handful of them, and he's got a handful of Lings as well. He's just going to be very, very patient with the Lings, not get too far in front of these Hellions, wait for them to come a little bit further on that creep. Oh, one transfusion available on that Queen. Nothing left on these other ladies, though, so unfortunately they have to pull back. Don't want to face tank those Hellions too much. And a Raven on the way here from TY as well, so even if the Hellion pressure gets deflected, that Raven can be used for free creep spread denial without scanning. Oh, he gets the third base, finds a cluster of drones, 4 going down.
Nice, Spore Crawler already getting damaged. There's a Queen on that lib. Great defense here from Lambo. 4 drones from the Hellions was nice, but the Liberator only going to find a single worker before getting shot down out of the sky. And I want to talk a little bit more about that Raven. I think that makes so much sense. He's going to factories as well, so it's going to be a mech play. But the Raven makes so much sense on Parasite. This map is so big, and how many times have we seen Terran players just deplete their economy by fighting this losing war against the creep spread? They keep scanning, but guess what? Everywhere you scan, the creep is spreading on the other paths. And if you're only relying on scans to clear it up, you're just going to spend way too much money wasted on that. If you keep this Raven alive, on the other hand, you've got free detection. You can see those invisible creep tumors, and you can go around and just clean these up methodically. That's going to slow Lambo down, and it's going to give TY a lot of efficiency throughout the long game.
Certainly. Before the creep dissipates, though, Lambo trying to chase and put some damage on that Raven. And TY, considering he's going mech, is going to want to saturate these gases immediately at that third base because it is all about the gas income. It looks like he's going to go into Thor drop play potentially here. His first Thor starts on that factory. He's meant to have a couple Tech Lab factories here and a reactive factory just to try and round out the forces he gets. Siege tank production, very important. Lambo getting Hydralisks as well. Hydra's also very important at dealing with early game mech. You can't stop this double Thor drop stuff with just Spore Crawlers and Queens.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. We haven't seen too much mech recently, especially this particular Thor drop opening. It's so nice because it's such a flexible piece of ground pressure, but it also shuts down any sort of cheeky Mutalisk play. But fast infestation pit on the way for Lambo. Lambo's definitely one of these players who's kind of part of the reason why a lot of the Terrans in EU don't like going mech. They feel like the Zergs are so good against it.
They are. You know, mech TVZ was so popular in Europe for so long that this is actually a style that Lambo should be quite strong against on paper. Yeah. Oh, the Hellions getting some free shots. These Lings, a little bit of indecisiveness there from Lambo. A little bit late to split those Lings up. Loses a bunch of them there. I mean, it is kind of all about the Hydralisks now, not so much about the Lings and the Roaches, of course, to stop these Hellions. So losing those Lings isn't the worst thing in the world, but it was free damage for TY.
And it's going to be Roach Hydra Swarmhost here. A couple of Hydras for the anti-air, Roaches in the mix, and those Swarmhosts coming out. So Lambo going to be looking for this big mid-game chompy army. Now remember, Swarmhost fantastic versus tanks versus Thors, but if the Locusts land clumped up on Hellbats, they disappear. So that's something we have to keep an eye on for now. It's just the Raven, the Thors, the Hellions coming in, the Roaches and Hydras coming down. They're going to try and fight
Not
this.
many Zerg units.
Yeah, one Thor almost does go down. Lambo going to have to pull back for now, though. Those Zerglings re-engaging. The Queen's coming up. That Thor so low, but TY saves it with just a couple of hit points, and he's going to have to back on out of there. Good defense overall from Lambo, just barely enough units to defend that.
Yeah, it was looking really... I get worried for Zergs when they're trickling in units in single file and piecemeal like that, but he just had enough to muscle on through. Now the Swarm hosts are out, and they're about to have +1 attack. So this Locust volley heading towards this base, but the Hellions are going to find them. Forcing the Locust out a bit far back here.
Oh, wow. Immediately manages to stop them from swooping down. Great speed there from Lambo. And of course, going to send those Locusts in, just take out a couple of depots. Tries to land on a siege tank, get a little bit of friendly fire. Overall, not massive damage. A few Roaches running in for some counterattacks as well. Lambo is keen to get aggressive here, and that's important. If you're on Roach Hydra Swarmhost, this is a mid-game composition. It's not good if the Terran can stabilize on 5 or 6 bases and get up to that really late game max. So Lambo's got to kind of find the angles to keep the creep spread spreading. The Ravagers, of course, are going to harass the Hydras, the Swarmhosts, and he's going to try and pick away at TY, chip at him over time, and slowly wear the Terran player down with these Locust waves.
And TY on the other side of the map here needs to get that tank count up and get them sieged up, ready to fight. These Hellbats also need to be spread around these tanks so that he takes very minimal Locust damage. Like Pig mentioned, if the Hellbats are there, the Locusts don't do much at all, but if they're not, then the Locusts really tear through that tank line and really everything else. In comes that Locust wave, and Lambo's going to try and hit with the Ravagers at the same time here to the left-hand side.
Ooh, those two tanks on the right-hand side, very exposed. The Thor takes a little bit of damage as well. A lot of Hellbats actually falling on the right. Nice missile there, but these Hellbats getting kited down. Lambo's found a soft spot in the armor of TY.
And that's only an orbital pick, so it's not fighting back. That gets really low, but TY with the fast repair is going to keep it alive for now. The Roaches and Ravagers getting very low. Even though the armor debuff is about to wear off, he just doesn't have enough units to continue to pressure. Picks off a Liberator on his way out.
I mean, that's what you got to do, though. The disengage there, that's not Lambo running with his tail between his legs. He's saying, let's wait for another Locust wave. I've got more Roaches and Hydras on the way. The Locusts are about to refill. TY's like, I can't keep taking hits like this. I've got to move out. I've got to push it back.
I don't know about this one. There's going to be a big Locust wave. TY is lifting whatever he can into this medevac, but there is not enough here.
Wow, that's a lot of Locusts, Maynard. The Roaches and Ravagers going to come in, and the Hellbats start to evaporate. Does take out 1 or 2 siege tanks as well before retreating. Those corrosive vials, of course. Every time the Locusts go in, it allows those Ravagers to move forward, and these trades are fantastic. But TY, hats off to him for keeping that 4th base up. He's got more factories in the production tab. He's trying to get up to the point where he can refill Hellions so fast that after destroying a Locust wave, he can push back out and reclaim some map control. Because as long as Lambo has this position, he's winning the game. He's chipping away at TY. TY needs to just hang on for a little bit longer, somehow manage to max out, get onto that map.
Well, here comes the Locust wave. Lambo not giving him a second of breathing room here. And he's going for those tanks. Diving on top of the sieged ones up here to make some room for these Ravagers to come up the ramp. Finds another one being rallied in there. Looks like only one tank went down, but the Biles can connect on these two, clumped up together.
Ooh, finally the extra Biles are going to take down one, but not the other. Those siege tank shots landing all over these units. But, you know, I guess Lambo can afford a bit of a sloppy trade there. Liberator counterattack, very nice in the main base. TY, and down on the 5th as well. TY doing what he can to distract Lambo. Lambo's got a ton of money in the bank, but loses a lot of economy there. And, you know, that's really nice. TY mining a lot more than Lambo right now, but Lambo is definitely the one who's been a bit more efficient throughout.
Even though TY's lost 11 workers, still chilling on 78. This is the TY we know and love. Has been known to go up over 100 SCVs in games, I'm sure by accident. But here come those Locusts. The Hellbats are body blocking for those tanks, though. Lambo's trying to find the ones in the back line that don't have Hellbat coverage. Pick up micro there from TY to pick up the unsieged tanks and put them somewhere else. But a lot of Zerg units coming in from the left. Lambo trying to push through this 4th base again.
Wow.
Lambo muscles on through.
He is just rolling through this army, doing so much damage here. The Locust micro has been so good. The corrosive Biles constantly finding their mark. And Lambo is not done with his BlizzCon yet. He is saying, this is not good enough, TY. I know how to crush the mech. Well played.
He fights back and he's got himself a match point. 1 map from going on to face Neeb. And likewise, one map from Elimination. This is going to be a fun Game 3, Pig.
That was really good. I was thinking, is he getting a little bit too stubborn there, just continuing to hit the middle? But Lambo was so methodical with how he dismantled TY. I mean, that just goes to show he is comfortable versus Mac. That is, of course, a huge map, Parasite. It's a map which Zerg players enjoy. But I mean, it goes to show that Lambo against Mech is comfortable. He's solid. He's strong. And TY there, even though he tried for a little bit of trickery and misdirection in the early game, he managed to, Lambo managed to stabilize TY, not able to take him out. It is now tied up 1-1 apiece. And of course, the loser of this will be out. The winner goes on to face Neeb in that deciding match of Group A. It's all going to come down to map number 3 on Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher, one of those maps where it can be pretty notoriously hard for the Zerg if the Terran gets those siege tanks up, but it can also be a really great map for Swarm hosts if you're up against that mech style that TY showed us there on Parasite. Although considering how mech went for TY on that map, he might rethink it. Lambo looked very comfortable against mech.
Yeah, I mean, if it is mech, it's definitely going to be something where it's not looking to give Lambo as much space, probably a more aggressive opening. What happened in that last game, the Hellion Liberator, it's a nice opening. It's really flexible. It allows you to put on some pressure while being quite economic. But Lambo shut it down. He stopped that Liberator. He only lost a few drones to the Hellions, and he was able to get into his comfort zone. I feel like TY, he's shown some very creative aggression in the past. We saw it in game number 1. Maybe not something as committed as that, but I definitely don't want to see the same just very basic Hellion Liberator pressure, because Zerg players have played hundreds and thousands of games against this at that point. Every single ZvT for the last few months on ladder, Lambo knows there's a good chance of that one coming out.
And if I want to be critical of TY, like apart from the Ghost Rush, which is a little bit different, a lot of what he's been doing here in Group A, like if day 1 included, has been quite, it's been what he's done before.
Yeah.
So, and there's so much data out there as a player that prepares quite well for for your opponent, like your Lambos, like your Neebs, that can just look at TY and go, I've seen you do this before, so I know what to do because I thought about it when I saw your game. And TY really hasn't changed things up. That mech style, like you mentioned, very, very regular. Nothing insane about it. It's just Hellion Liberator pressure, that double Thor drop play. Lambo is reading him like a book. And as a result, managed to just do so well and just put the fight onto the Terran side of the map, never letting him push out ever.
Yeah, if there was a time to reach into your bag of magic tricks, now would be it for TY. Lambo has looked very stock standard in his Zerg versus Terran. He hasn't played many risky builds. And I also wonder, is he thinking, let's throw it all on the line here? Realistically, as an analyst, as an expert, I say no, I don't think he will.
No.
And I don't think TY thinks he will either, and that's kind of why maybe it's the perfect decision, right? That's why it would be so surprising. So, if Lambo does decide to just throw caution to the wind and bring out something a little bit wild, it'll definitely be unexpected.
Yeah, certainly it would it'd be quite the mind game. TY, no stranger to that kind of maneuver either. That's all for that. The trophy. We're only on day 3 here. Plenty of this tournament still remaining. We actually have a really long broadcast day today. 6 best of 3s? 8 best of 3s.
8 best of 3.
That's right.
Where we eliminate 8 players. It's kind of a sad one, as Dan was saying earlier on the couch. A lot of tears today, but also a lot of hope. Everything's on the line.
Wow.
And it's brutality.
This is StarCraft. In the end, there can be only one. And in the top left, from Clash, the German Zerg. Can he do it? This is Lambo.
Down here in the bottom right-hand side, one of the smartest Terrans to ever grace this game, representing Splice in the red. He is TY.
One of the smartest Terrans, Pig. The smartest Terran is what I believe you meant to say.
Top 3, for sure.
Top 1. Anyway. I'm so excited for this game. I really just can't wait to see what these players roll out for us here. I really just want to, honestly, I feel like TY thinks that with these rushes, with these kind of, mind gamey builds, he feels like, oh, maybe I don't have, maybe I just can't play standard and I can't, just win a game standardly. He can.
No,
he absolutely can. I wonder why he feels the need to, try and be weird in these games. He's actually just so solid at these matchups.
Yeah, well, I mean, Parasite as well, interestingly, is one of these maps where you go into that with a special build, TY very well might just go back to some stock standard bio macro play here, you know,
I'd love to see
3 bases and do bio tank. And that might be what he's got a bit more practice with and is more on point with, but he just probably doesn't feel comfortable doing that on such a long map as Parasite. Here on Dreamcatcher, it's a shorter map. There's some beautiful choke points for you to set up your siege tanks. Now, there's a lot of counter-attack paths as well. So we have seen Zerg players were very good with their multitasking, use a mixture of flanking their opponent's pushes, but also backstabbing them, going in with the counter-attacks, the run-bys of Zerglings into the mineral lines and attacking their economy. So we're going to have to see exactly how this one plays out. Lambo, definitely a big Lingbane Hydra guy, is going to be looking to get his creep spread out. We always talk about creep spread in this matchup more than any other, because you're looking at Zerg with a lot of melee units, hand-to-hand, Zerglings, Banelings, that need to close the distance quickly with their opponents. And if you're fighting off creep spread, the long-range, high-damage Marines and siege tanks, they just gun you down from afar. You can't even close the distance, and Zerg looks kind of pathetic. So it's one of these situations where it's a big battle in the early to mid stages of setting up for those big fights. It's can you get your economy up, and almost more importantly, can you get your creep out beyond that halfway point of the map?
Certainly. First Reaper of TY here looking for that drone kill. Not sure he'll get it though. Lambo too good for that. Pushes back that Reaper after tanking a little bit of damage. Oop.
Yeah, Reaper being nice and annoying there, really fishing for that Zergling kill. But our players have been immaculate throughout this, and oh my lord.
That is a fast Roach Warren, my friend.
Ooh, very, very fast here. I think it's just going to be a 21-22 drone Ravager Zergling attack. We've seen this come into popularity on this map. And I mean, as TY, you need to scout this early. He cannot afford to lose that Reaper. And he's got to try to spot this as quickly as he can. Now, this is so hard to spot because there's multiple paths. It's easy to sneak roaches across. And it's a relatively short rush distance. As TY, the moment you spot this, you need to start building Cyclones, potentially a Liberator or Banshees. You need to get units out to help you defend. This is a big attack. And like we said, Lambo's been so stock standard throughout. TY is not expecting this. Why would you? Lambo has played so generic every single game up to now, and when both players' lives are on the line, this is where Lambo decides to take a massive risk with this attack.
One map to make the difference between Lambo or TY being the next player to face Neeb here in the decider match. Oh man, here come these roaches. TY is making a Liberator right now. It doesn't look like he switched over the starport in that tech lab.
I think those Lings might try and pull those Hellions home. Those Hellions are going to spot those roaches. They see them. They see those roaches coming across. There's already drones in the production tab behind this. Lambo has got his Zerglings hiding off to the side. He's just going in with the roaches on their own. This is a light pressure. He's looking for an overextension, an overreaction from TY. TY trying to get Marauders, Cyclones, and Liberators out. They'll be out soon. These roaches are on a timer. They've only got about 20-30 seconds to get the damage done. Are they going to be able to find it?
Well, so far they've gotten a couple SCV kills, forced to evacuate that natural. The Liberator is out, and it can actually stop these roaches from escaping, or at least make sure that they die on their way out. The roaches just diving and getting whatever SCV count they can, but it looks like TY is going to hold.
Very nice defense there from TY. He says 6 SCVs for 6 roaches. Yeah, all right, I'll take that trade any day. And now he's got this very nice counter pressure, a mixture of Cyclone, Liberator, Hellion, Marauder, and that Reaper's still in there. A few Marines coming across as well, just for good measure. One Overlord is getting damaged, but you know what? Lots of Roaches and Queens are coming out. If Lambo can shut this push down and go back to droning, he'll be in a nice spot.
His worker count's not too bad at the moment. Obviously, TY is making those extra workers back at home, getting that third CC back in the main base as well. In comes the Liberator to the main base. No Spore Crawler here, just the Queen on her own.
If he
Lambo's not paying attention.
He's got to move that Queen, or his main base is toast. The Queen goes down.
Oh, that's terrible for Lambo. All this lava is being camped by that Liberator. The Hellions pulling his attention to that third base.
TY here, and he's not even committing. He's just trying to do the damage with the Liberator. Does 7 workers of damage combined with the Hellion and the Reaper.
Good for TY.
And it just pulls out of there. He keeps all the units alive. He doesn't overextend, and look at how many roaches he's forced out of Lambo. He's forced a ton of extra fighting units, a few Ravagers to morph. He's forced a bit of lost mining time. Very nice counter pressure from TY. Doesn't overextend and brings the Liberator home to hunt down the Overlords as well. TY just setting up for the later stages. He's got tanks on the way to secure his advantage, 3rd command center, and this time around it's going to be bio on the way for the Terran player.
Marine tank, this is what I wanted to see. The TY I know and love, and it's on the way here. Now, we talked about a little bit on Dreamcatcher. There are some positions of the map where this push, or this army in general for the Terran, could be extremely strong. So Lambo's pre-spread is of utmost importance.
So we have to see exactly where Lambo goes with this. It's going to be, 1-1 range, and Carapace starts up for Lambo. So it's going to be a big commitment to that. Yeah, most likely a big Roach Ravager timing is going to be the potential threat, right? 1-1 versus 1-1. There's a big window when there's not too many tanks, when there's not too many Marines, especially if they don't have combat shields on time. And when that Terran moves down to take the third base, the Zerg can swing in with a huge army. That Reaper still being so annoying on this map. Yeah.
Cancel creep trimmer at least.
But he's keeping it alive as well, and that's kind of a problem because any scouting TY has helps him confirm what's going on. And if he sees no fourth base, if he sees no drones on a fourth base, he's going to be much more confident playing very safe. Because as a Terran, if your opponent's massing Roach Ravager, you just need to defend. You've just got to sit back, get some extra bunkers, get some extra siege tanks. Roaches and Ravagers get worse and worse the longer the game goes, the bigger the armies get, because they cost a lot of supply, they're a little bit clunky, they're very fat, they get stuck on each other and they get in each other's way, and they don't have very long range. So it's very much a mid-game kind of swarmy army where if you can get the opening, if you can find a big open area, the Zerg does well. If you can deny that as the Terran, you're looking good.
It looks like TY loading up a drop here to the south-hand side while the Liberators go to the north end. Lambo actually spots this drop here with a well-placed Overseer. The Roach Ravager army also in the middle of the map, so he can intercept this and force TY to have to either engage or lift up and go somewhere else. Lambo has a lot of forces here. Oh, no Spore again, and these drones are going to take a lot of damage here. It looks like 2 are going to go down.
Yeah, and that Liberator's even going to go reposition, try and hit that natural. And the Marines go forward, almost get a Ravager snipe, and they quickly pick up and do start to evacuate. And these Liberators continuing to just use TY's immaculate multitasking to do damage back at home. And that gives him even more confidence in the fact that defense is what will win this game. If he can hold on against this attack, TY is looking good, but Combat Shields isn't done yet, Maynard. He's only got a couple of siege tanks. Lambo wants to force the fight right now.
And there is 50 extra army supply here for the Zerg. It is starting to plummet though. In come those Roaches for the left-hand side. The pile's connecting nice with these tanks. Lambo is doing damage, but not enough. TY pushes this back with his Marines, and he's going to get so much more of Lambo's army on the retreat. Lambo still rallying Roaches through the middle of the wrap. He's holding that R key, and he's going for it. TY, though, just going to continue to make Liberators. Is continuing to get those Marines and tanks replenished. Looks like it's still just one factory production of siege tanks, I believe. But he's throwing in Marauders as well, making it a little bit easier for him to just stim for the win. Lambo is, he might have to wait a minute here and get that army supply up again, because if he pushes, like, he tried to get that number 50 army supply more, and it didn't crack him. I mean, so if he goes for just an extra 30, I don't see it happening.
Definitely not. The SCV pull was quick, but he almost didn't need it. I mean, it was just so well positioned by TY. TY was so prepared. He slowed the push down with the Marines initially. He saw it coming. Another attempt comes in from Lambo, snags a tank. Not a bad pick-off, since he, of course, can transform some of those low hit point Roaches into Ravagers, but he's stuck on 57 drones, and at this point, Lambo's fishing for mistakes. He's not just going to be able to crack the defense of TY. He's going to try and just hope TY extends himself onto the map a little bit too far. And if there's one guy who just doesn't overextend versus this sort of style, it's TY. He knows he's got to defend. Lambo's going to go for one more swing in on the offensive, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
The workers are being pulled here, and all TY needs to do is just hold on. Some bio coming in for the natural fresh with full hit points, and in he comes. The tanks are down, but there is just so much bio here for TY. And with the medevac support, maybe he could just hold on. Medevacs are getting a little bit low, but another tank pops out on that high ground, and Lambo's army supply advantage is getting thinner. He's got 14 of those Roaches on the way, but they are on the other side of the map, unfortunately. Liberator still doing damage on the other side of the map. This Queen's going to go down.
Oh my lord, yet again, another Queen falling. That is huge, because every time that happens, it's such a delay before you get many units. More Liberators coming in as well. Now, that's a lot of units that aren't on the defense, but it forces Lambo out of that game. TY, with his clinical, precise play, takes the victory, goes on to face off against Sneed.
TY gets through, but Lambo certainly made him work for it. I mentioned it in the last game and say it again. I cannot wait for 2019 for Lambo. I really foresee a bright future in this kid's next year of WCS. He has been looking better and better each year that goes through, so I cannot wait to see how this German Zerg looks. And TY just held on by a thread there. And I'm just so happy that we got to see some standard bio tank from him and how good he is with it.
Very, very nice play there from the Korean Terran. Closes it out in some impressive games. We're going to hear from Kalaris and the guys on the couch. Take it away.
That's right, thank you very much. With TY winning that one, he moves on to play against Neeb later on in the decider match here for Group A. A valiant effort by Lambo, to be honest, though, actually going into this series as a whole. I think coming into the tournament, and if we look a few years later, or earlier even, I should say, someone like Lambo coming in against TY would say, okay, 2-0 or whatever. But he took him to the very edge there in that series.
He really did. I mean, he was looking in good spots in the games. And, I mean, obviously taking down that kind of tricky game number 2. Lambo played really well, and you can see the frustration in his face. That's the face of someone who really cares about this and tried his best. And I can't agree more with the commentators. You know, he's going to be back stronger next year.
Well, I mean, losing to Maru and TY, like, it feels bad right now, but later he'll be like, I'm okay. Like, I mean, StarCraft is a brutal game, and there are some people that are just way, way, way up there. And Lambo has hit a level where he is threatening, as Artosis was saying, to beat some of these guys. He had a great series against Maru. In the games, not necessarily in the score. And then against TY, yeah, this was a good series. So nicely done by him. Lambo's only a guy, by the way, I mean, we've been talking about him for a while, but at this level, we've only been talking about him this year, as Kevin talked about in the opening show. So it's really exciting for me that in 2019, maybe Lambo is on that short list of foreigners that ascends to a level where Cyril needs to look out, Showtime needs to look out, Neeb need to look out. He's way up there.
I'll check in with you in a second, Roddy, as we do go over to the interview now, as Hajison is ready with TY.
Thank you very much, guys. And what a first series to start the day. Congratulations. I'm here with TY. And it was a close series, more than we expected. But let's start with game 1. You went with a pretty unconventional build. Is there a reason for that? 우선 너무 축하드립니다. 이번에 되게 좀 막상 막혀였는데 1세트 얘기부터 할게요. 약간 특이한 빌드를 하셨는데 어떤 이유라도 있나요?
개인적으로 람보 선수의 테란전을 굉장히 높게 평가를 해서 첫 경기를 좀 올인 빌드로 이기고 시작을 해야 할 만하다고 생각을 해서 사용하게 됐습니다.
I really high value Lambo's ZvT, and that's why I thought I have to all in and to start this series by taking this game, and that's why I choose to make this build. So second question, you told me that you were feeling sick yesterday. Are you feeling okay? And how does that affect you? Or you're coughing still? 어제 약간 아프시다고 그러셨는데 오늘은 좀 어떠신가요?
제가 몸이 계속 미국 와서 안 좋았었는데 약을 좀 블리자드 관계자분께서 잘 챙겨주시고 여러모로 잘 챙겨주셔가지고 점점 괜찮아지고 있고 그래도 오늘도 완전히 완쾌된 상태는 아니지만 그래도 첫날보다는 좀 더 좋은 경기력을 보여드릴 수 있을 것 같아요.
So I got sick since I'm here, but Blizzard people they were really nice with me, taking care with. I took some medicine. I'm feeling a bit better, but still a bit ill. But let's see how it goes. So you're still ill, but now you have to face Neeb again. So are you ready to take the revenge? 아직도 조금 아프셨다 그랬는데 다시 닙 선수를 만나게 됐어요. 좀 이제 다시 복수를 할 준비가 되셨나요?
닙 선수한테 한번 졌어가지고 그래서 좀 아직 두려운 게 사실이지만 그래도 4강에서도 그러니까 GSL 4강에서도 2게임을 지고 내리 이긴 기억이 있기 때문에 그때를 기억하면서 바로 연습에 돌입을 해야 될 것 같아요.
So as I lost against Nip yesterday, I'm still a bit scared of him. But I won against him in GSL semifinals. After being down 0-2, I still won. So I'm going to think about it and to practice and to focus on my next game against Nip. Well, congratulations again and good luck against Nip for your next game. And back to you guys.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good to hear from TY there coming through that as a whole. Interesting as well, whilst watching him do that interview, his eyes were so focused on watching the game back, watching like how everything was playing out in some of those fights, Roddy. And I think something that kind of stirs from that is some of those, especially the second and third game, were far, I think, even far closer than TY maybe even expected to go into those games.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty proud of Lambo for bouncing back the way he did in game 2 after that very frustrating game 1.
Absolutely.
Obviously, that's one of those builds where if he puts the pieces in the right place and he gathers the right defenses, he can hold that and you pretty much win the game. TY said it as well, like it's close to an all-in, right? So for Lambo to get things in place again in game 2, I think he played awesome. Did a great job in droning up, did a great job in dealing with the first push. The way he used the Swarmos in combination with the Roaches and the Ravages, that was all very well done. I don't think TY played poor in game 2. I do think it's a tough map, by the way, for Terran, even though Terran still fight me on that. I never see them win on Parasite.
Right.
But I still think Lambo played very well. And I think even that final game, like you said, James, I think Lambo's initial opening, the 6 Roach push, I think it did a reasonable amount of damage. Not game-ending damage, obviously, but it was good enough. So TY, he knew what he had to do. He had to strike back, and he had to make stuff happen. Otherwise, that game would spiral out of control. But he did such a good job. And that's why you see those Korean Terrans, they really shine when it comes to Liberators. They're so freaking annoying with Liberator. You think you're taking care of the Liberator, but you're not. Because before your Queen is in position, that Liberator is already moving again. And then there is a Hellion fight going on. So yeah, TY playing incredibly well in Game 3.
We're talking a lot about Lambo. I kind of still want to stick on this a little bit because, Jeffrey, we were watching how that series was playing out. And after that first game, it did show a lot of fortitude from Lambo's side. After I said he kind of looked shattered after that first game when we saw him on camera. He took an emotional toll on him, but he was able to bounce back a little bit.
Yeah, that's something that I hope our viewers can kind of... It's good to get those images out there because all these players are feeling that more or less. We get to kind of interact with them and see them behind, but when we say this is life-changing money, we mean it. When we say that these guys are the best of the best, the other kind of narrative that's being said there is that they truly believe they can go. I mean, when we talk about Lambo and we talk about Neeb, they're not here and they're like, it's a free trip to California. They're like, no, this is a business trip. And I actually, if I can win 3 matches or something like that, like literally just 3 or 4 matches, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking about results where if you beat Maru and then you beat a TY or something like that, people talk about that for the rest of your career, the rest of your life. This is an amazing, amazing moment. So for someone to kind of come to the conclusion that that's no longer the case, or they're now have their back up against the wall, or the other voice that we don't talk very much about, and this is what's so amazing about Cyril, winning is really hard, guys. It's actually very hard because each win builds up in your head as like, well, what if I do it again, or if I win this next one? It's amazing the amount of talent that's here. So I'm glad you asked about the question and pointed out, because I hope our viewers can kind of get that sense of that, and we'll do our best to try and convey it. But it's amazing to sit here and watch these guys fight for what will define the rest of their lives.
Totally.
It's amazing.
And I want to ask you, Dan, looking at TY's outlook on this group as a whole, I feel kind of, I didn't feel like I was going to be saying this towards the end of the group, but he's going up against Neeb again. That series in itself was a little bit taxing on TY. Are you concerned for TY at this point? I didn't think I'd be saying that coming into the group stage.
He can fall. TY is kind of an interesting player because I still put him as one of the favorites of the tournament, but a lot of times when he plays, this is not a guy that just 3-0s everybody like Maru. Okay, he actually plays a very different style, and he loses a lot of games on the way, but he generally gets the victory. And when you go to a best-of-3 type scenario like this, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried for him. Neeb is a fantastic player. He already showed that he can beat him. So, I mean,
he
that
even
definitely
said he was scared.
Yeah, it can go either way at that point, and I think that they both know it. But TY will come prepared later on today. He will bring his best stuff. He will probably look at the games that Maru played against him, take some lessons from that. And I think, in my opinion, he's still a little bit favored.
I would say he already brought his best stuff. And that's got to be the hardest part about this format is in that first time he played Neeb, he showed him his best stuff. That's not like his second or third ideas. Those are his first. They got deflected. So now it's this second tier of StarCraft where it's like, you've shown your best. Can you improve on that? And that's crazy.
It definitely is. Let's